What up, guys?
Yo.
Matt, what is going on, dude?
What's up, pal?
How are you?
Oh, you look obnoxiously handsome over Zoom.
Oh, stop it.
Oh, fuck you. You know it, too. You know it.
Guys, look how fucking professional I am today.
Yeah, look at you with the mic and everything, man.
Sirius sent me this for when we had to do a bunch of these, things when there are like 12 people talking at once. So if it's excessive, just let me know and I'll put it away. But I've hung on to it just for you guys.
Thank you. We appreciate
all
it, man.
this time.
I like how
you
you didn't call this bullshit. You said these things. Like, you could call it bullshit. It's all right.
Yeah. I mean,
This is the gig,
it's,
right?
it's what it is. This is what we do, right?
Yeah, is this so? Ray Lewis has a quote, like a famous quote that I always love, where he was talking about like his contract in terms of football, where he's like, "You pay me for Monday through Saturday. Sunday I give you for free." Is that how acting is?
Bro,
like they pay you for
my
this?
mantra. I mean, you can ask any one of my representatives. What I always tell them is, I act for free. I get paid to do press.
Yeah, yeah. That's how I feel like all
it's
actors
all the
usually
other
are.
rigmarole. It's all the other rigmarole that goes around it. This really feels like work in a different way, because what we do. I mean, there are aspects of the job that do feel like work. Just the, 4 a.m. call times or 16-hour days sometimes can feel like it. But when I'm actually getting to act, it never feels like work to me.
What's the worst interview you had to do so far for this? You can name them.
Well, it's not about the people or the show or anything like that. It was more that I had to do a morning show in New York. So I had to be on camera at 5 a.m. my time, actually trying to sound coherent.
Yeah.
And they didn't have, they used a different platform. So we weren't on Zoom. I actually had to set up an iPad and kind of use books to hold it in the right place so it wouldn't tip over. So it was so precariously balanced at 5 a.m., and I couldn't see anybody. I just had to look. I could hear them. And they were like, "Do you have two sets of AirPods that we can use? One to connect to this one?" And I was like, "Who do you people think you're talking to? Like, what do you just ask everybody who comes onto your show if they have two sets of AirPods? Because that's kind of a
look. I'm a celebrity. I'm not
question.
that rich. I mean, come on.
Come on.
2 sets of AirPods. You got to swim in it.
So thankfully it all worked out. They were great. It all worked out fine, but I couldn't see anybody either, which also kind of makes it strange to have a conversation, I'm taking a picture of us right now, guys. Just so I have it.
I mean,
I am.
you know what?
Can you make sure you're not in it, please?
Ready? 1, 2, 3. Yes.
Yikes.
What's going on, you guys? What's going on in New York right now? How is it? What's the climate? What's the
dead.
goods?
Yeah, I mean, it's good though. I like it like that.
I'm being sarcastic. Everyone wants New York to be dead, so it's always like, oh, look what happened to the liberal stronghold, and we're doing just fine, thank you. Like,
good.
The bars are open, the taps are flowing.
That's it.
We sit on
That's
the
all you
street
need.
and drink. It's beautiful.
There's drinking going on. That's all that matters. That's
if only the Jets and the Giants were playing a little better, life would be,
dude. Where are you from? You're Missouri originally, right?
Yeah, so I spent half my childhood in St. Louis and half my childhood outside of Houston. But by the time I became a football fan, I was in Houston. So I was really an Oilers fan, and I went through all those heartbreak years during the run and shoot, Warren Moon.
Yeah. And then where did you go from there? Did you follow them to Tennessee? Did you stick with the Texans? Like, how does that work?
So, no, I haven't gone there yet. I went to college in Pittsburgh at Carnegie Mellon. So I kind of went to some Steelers games there, but I wouldn't say that they're my number one team or anything. Once the Oilers became the Titans, I followed them for a little bit. And then once we got to LA and we had kids, it was like, I told our oldest, who's a huge football fan, I said, look, we have to decide on who our team's going to be. And this is back when LA didn't have two teams to choose from. So I was like, are we going to be the Chargers? Are we going to be the Raiders? Or are we going to be the Niners? And he chose the Niners. And since then we have been diehard Niners fans through the good and the bad, the thick and the thin. And every year, usually, we go up to a game, and it's like a great kind of bonding experience for us to have where we go up. And
how old is he now?
He's 15.
Oh, wow.
That's actually that's a pretty cool experience and pretty unique to have, like, a father-son be like, look, my team, the team I had allegiance to was gone. Yeah. So who do you want? Yeah. Like, let's go in this together. Usually, like me, I was forced into. I'm from Boston. I'm from outside Boston, and so like it was just like I actually as a kid I liked the Rangers, and my dad was just like, nah, you don't. You're a Bruins fan, and so like I'm happily a Boston fan, obviously with our recent history.
Boston is such a great town to be a sports fan in.
Yeah, I'd say so, Matt. Yeah. I mean, it's obnoxious is what it is. I went through a phase. I'm going through the phase, not passing my teams on to my kids. Because I am a Mets, Jets, Knicks fan, and it's been absolutely fucking miserable. And it has not been fun. And people say things like, well, it builds character, or when you do win, it's going to be that much sweeter. And it's like, well, not really, because no, A, it's probably not going to happen. And B, by the time it does happen, I'll be like 45 and I'm old and I'm not having fun anymore. Like this guy got to win when he was a teenager and then win when he was in college and win when he's in his 20s. And you party and you have fun. Who cares if I win one when I'm like 1,000? So why don't, I'm not going to do that to my kid. I think it's abuse. I think it's abusive to make my kids root for my teams.
And it's tricky. I mean, I guess it's your call, I had one of our 12-year-olds say to me last year after the Niners lost in the Super Bowl, he was like, "Do you think they'll ever get into the Super Bowl again?" And I was like, "I don't know. Like, you just don't
there's
know.
No guarantees, man.
I'm assuming it will happen just based on the legacy of the franchise, but you don't know."
Yeah,
but it's great. It's such a cool. San Fran is such a great town, and the fact that we every year get to go up there and. I mean, it used to be a lot easier before it was in Santa Rosa. Now we just kind of drive down, but we just hang out in San Fran. I'd take them to Chinatown. We'd have a great weekend experience, and then we'd go to the game. It was kind of a perfect 3-day weekend.
Those weekends are always the best. My dad and I used to do it. We were Patriots fans, but my like grandfather, because the Patriots weren't around when he was a kid, so he was a Giants fan. So he had Giant season tickets. So we'd go to one game a year where we'd like take the Acela down from Boston. And then we'd like get a hotel, like do like a weekend in the city, and those are like the best weekends of my life. The father son aspect you can get with sports or just any shared interest is always like, all right, this is, I can see myself like being happy and growing up with this. We're just like the connection you make with your dad is impossible to beat on those.
Yeah, it's a great way to connect with anyone in your family. I mean. I know my dad is. I guess for college, I'm like a Memphis State or University of Memphis, I should say now, fan because of my dad as well. That was the one thing that was passed down because he played for what was Memphis State at the time. So
that one you didn't have a choice on. That
was the one mandate.
You're rooting for Memphis. Yeah.
My dad had all these, because he was drafted by Dallas, and so he had all these kind of conflicted emotions about like Jerry Jones and all these other things, and so we didn't end up going to a ton of NFL games growing up. We would watch them together.
Despite the fact he got drafted, because he did what, 2 years in the league?
No, one. He got injured early on, and they already had, I guess, the All-American at his position, and so he got let go on waivers, and he actually got picked an offer from Boston, from New England, to be picked up by the Patriots. But he was just one of those guys in the 70s who was like, if I'm gonna play football, I want to play for the Dallas Cowboys.
Wow. So he would rather not play professional football if it wasn't for the Cowboys?
He was not interested in going to the Patriots. That's my understanding.
What did he do after? It's like, no, I'm gonna go like sell cars.
No, well, he had gotten a degree in business. He was very smart. That while he was, on a football scholarship, he'd gotten a degree in business, and he actually went and helped coach at Memphis State for a little while, the offensive line there.
Crazy.
And then he started using his business degree, and he got into the shipping industry of all things.
Holy shit!
Which he was working in from St. Louis, which is such a strange place to think of the shipping industry.
Right.
The port of St. Louis. Who hasn't heard of it?
Who hasn't been there? It all goes through the Mississippi, boys.
So with a dad who was that kind of like diehard football and clearly like diehard American football, when you quit football, because you were a hell of a football player too, right?
I was not a hell of a football player. I'll tell you, I was a hell of a like backyard pickup football player.
Yeah.
Like I played a mean like tackle backyard football game, and I was okay in tackle, but I wasn't huge. I was like, just under 6 feet, like 170 pounds. So like. I ran like a 4.6, 4.7.
Yo, that's fast as hell, Matt.
Come on,
no, 4.7 40 is not fast.
7, we're pushing it.
I ran one recently. I was like a little under 6, so I'm gonna call 4.7 fast as hell.
But I loved it, and I grew up just like, I mean, that when I was a kid, like just playing football in the side yard, that was like a part of my life, you know, from the time I was probably 12 to I started playing in pads, you know.
Did you have a moment where you were
pads.
like, wait a minute, I'm just fucking gorgeous, so I'm not going to do this anymore?
No, I never had that moment. I still haven't had that moment.
All right.
Never have that moment.
Let's talk. Let's have a talk here. I want to have a talk. I want you to talk to me seriously and truthfully right now. I mean, you know, and it's okay. We're in the trust tree. We're not being cocky. We're not being arrogant. You know that you are stunningly good looking. You know what society deems to be good looking. Whatever, we can have that conversation another time. You know, based on the hair and the eyes and the teeth and the jaw and everything, that you are stunningly attractive.
I mean, maybe I'm just not my type. You know what I mean? Like,
You son of a bitch!
I
That's a
don't
great
know.
fucking answer.
You know, I'll tell you this. We were one of the nice parts of being raised in a very religious household is that like you're so discouraged away from any pride. You know, it's like,
That's what they do
so
best.
shunned.
Tell 'em, Matt!
It's like
Tell
they will chop you down if you're that tall
That's what
poppy,
they
baby.
do.
Don't get up there. Don't climb up there. So I'm glad they did that for me because it allows me to never look at myself in that
Allows
kind
me
of
to
light.
never have self-confidence ever.
Yeah.
No self-esteem over here.
I started Magic Mike, and I'm still like, well, I'm not that good looking.
Yeah, come on. When you get the nod for Magic Mike, they're not casting ugly guys. You know that.
You know what's crazy is I didn't even think about the subject matter as much. I was really wanting to work with Steven Soderbergh, and who I love and who's still a good friend of mine and who is an amazing guy. But at the time he was saying he was thinking about not directing anymore, which obviously isn't true. But that's what he was thinking at the time. So I thought, man, if this is my chance to work with Steven, like I gotta jump at
No
it.
matter what, right?
It wasn't until I said yes that I realized the levels of waxing and tanner and, and abdominal crunches I was in for.
Do you think that movie, it doesn't get better because it's universally beloved, but do you think less people saw that movie? Obviously they did because like, oh, I can't see a shirtless man. That's gross. But it's a great movie aside from
Very entertaining.
like it's entertaining with just a stripper lifestyle, but it's also like a great story and a great movie. Do you think that almost the stripper aspect took away from it, even though it's not really, it's just Channing's story, right?
I mean, I think it's based on Channing's story. You'd probably have to ask him more than me.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to speak on his behalf, but I think he did a great job of also making it a commentary on capitalist culture and what it means to try to make a buck and what kind of ethics or parts of yourself do you have to sacrifice in order to try to make a dollar and get ahead in the world, you know?
Yeah, they're writing theses about it in college right now.
I mean, it's a legitimately awesome movie. It's like it's a cool story of like just like hanging out with your boys and having a good time and you know, having dreams and stuff like that. The stories in it are incredible.
The first one's really dark. The second one is definitely more kind of like a road trip buddy movie, group buddy movie, and it kind of reverses the gaze, the male gaze, where women can kind of objectify men, which I think is good. We should do that in 20 whatever.
Yeah, you know what? They were making
2014
big waves last night on The Bachelorette. They had the girls made the guys play strip dodgeball. And they went dicks out last night. They were totally naked. They
did not.
They went
did
dicks
not
out.
drop full trowel.
They did.
That's a dangerous game to play naked.
You got to be confident and to walk around with like a house full of good-looking dudes. They were dicks out, and some people were.
Dodgeball too.
I know.
Yeah.
You're moving and flopping.
Very vulnerable.
Right.
Very vulnerable.
But, you know, there was a bunch of think pieces, I think, on Twitter right away about, like, this is objectifying. And the producers were like, it's The Bachelor and The Bachelorette. That's what we do here.
Exactly.
You know? But, yeah, it was fun. It was funny to watch that.
You know, I have to say I've never seen The Bachelor or The Bachelorette, and I
Really?
get chastised for it constantly because people like live and die by that show.
Yeah, you would be great on it, by the way.
It's insane.
You would kill
Gotta
it.
sign up for that.
Yeah.
It's in like here, you know, Barstool Sports. People think it's very sports heavy. At my Twitter timeline at 8 p.m. on Tuesdays turns into exclusive Bachelor stuff, and I've actually never seen. I tried to watch one episode. I typically just don't really care for reality TV, And I tried to watch one episode of Bachelor in Paradise because everyone here loves it so much, and it just didn't hit for me. But it's crazy how popular it is.
It's like a sport in its own right.
I feel like particularly in the sports world.
Yeah.
It's obviously The Bachelor has its own world, but my Twitter timeline is largely sports writers or athletes, and it's all anyone talks about.
Yeah. You got to get into it, man. Give it a shot.
I got to get into it, man. Right now, I'm just trying to keep my fantasy team up in the top of the ranks, baby, because I'm having a year this year, baby.
Are you? Yeah.
I only have one loss so far. I'm doing okay.
All right. It's an interesting year for that, too, with Corona, cancellations, rescheduling.
Yes.
I'm sure it's fucking everything
and
up,
injuries,
right?
man. It was like that first Niners game just broke my heart. I was like, I mean, it's so dispiriting to have so many of your stars injured in one game.
Yeah, you're fine.
I've never experienced anything like that as a fan.
Yeah.
The Patriots
Love
had
me
that
some
happen
Arizona.
too. Like last
Did
week.
they?
Well, it was just like, it wasn't stars, but it was just last week because they hadn't practiced for 2 weeks because of COVID. They had like the COVID lockdown. They had a game canceled. They had 2 practices over the last 2 weeks.
It really shows how important practice is.
Right. And it's
they got injured and they stunk because they
it was
practice.
just like every play, like guy down, guy down, guy down. And it turns out practice is important despite what Allen Iverson said.
Yeah. And I got to imagine the conditioning and, some of the hits, I have to say, I love Arizona and I think they have an amazing defense. Some of the hits I was like, yo, but then I thought, well, maybe these guys haven't really had time to practice practice hitting. So of course they're not like squaring up on people. They're just trying to get people down however they can.
Game. Right. Messy game. So tell me a little
go
bit
low
about
on my boy Kittle, man.
Yo, he is a player. He is a stud, dude. Tell me a little bit about the new project here, The Boys in the Band.
Boys in the Band is on Netflix. So it's based, we did the play on Broadway back in 2018, and it's based on the play. We got the same cast, same director, but it's about this group of friends in 1968 in New York who were all gathered for a friend's birthday party, and the arrival of an unexpected stranger sort of throws everything into chaos and is really revelatory about these men. It's a group of gay men in 1968 before Stonewall, and it's really revealing about their relationships to themselves, to each other, and to society at large. But it's also really, really funny.
Okay, I was going to say, that sounds like
I'm not saying
heavy,
I'm funny, but I'm saying the material is very, very
good.
funny.
I mean, I watched The Normal Heart was like one of the most like, that was one of the most, I don't want to say difficult to watch, but like it was intense, It was like heavy. It was great, but it was like when I finished it, I was like, oh my God, I need to like take a nap. I need to like, unwind from it. It was gripping. But this has more of like a humorous twist to it.
This definitely does. I mean, look, it was an honor to be a part of both of these stories. They're both kind of iconic pieces of in the LGBTQ plus canon,
Is that something you seek out? I mean, it's not coincidence that you've done multiple projects now that are in that realm, or is it?
It is and it isn't, because they were certainly The Normal Heart was like such a memorable aspect. I remember reading it for the first time when I was like a teenager growing up and be like, whoa, what is going on in the world that I don't know about in rural Texas? So they'd been on my radar, and I'm so thankful. It's really Ryan Murphy who's brought me into the pieces, and he's the reason I'm really involved in getting to tell them on the platform that I'm getting to tell them on.
I was reading an interview with you about I think it was in Geo. And it was, you said something which I found interesting, where it's like you and the cast of Boys in the Band decided you weren't going in to do an important movie, a quote unquote important movie.
Yeah.
You were like, we're just going to do a movie. Is that something you feel when you go into movies? Like, I have to tell a particular story, but or you're just like, I'm an actor. I want to act.
Yeah, well, I think it's a trap to ever think we should play how important this is. You know what I mean?
Right.
Now I am one of those people who I do feel like the set is kind of a sacred space. I want something magic there to happen every day. I want to give it that respect, and I think certainly with Normal Heart and with Boys in the Band, you realize you're dealing with pieces that have had resonance and have import in productions in the past. But I think one of the things I learned from working with both these playwrights on these iconic pieces is that their work is going to transcend whatever you do to it. It's like it's in the words, it's in the story, and your job is just to go there and play the scene and give it all the respect and thought and emotion that it deserves.
We got a little game here we like to play.
By the way, in that Geo interview, the last question they asked you, that was crazy, right?
What did they ask me?
It was like, who's the person who you've lost that hurt the most, and what would you say to them? And you were like, I mean, you're like, I've had pretty good peace with everyone I've lost. Like, it was a heavy question because like they were all just regular questions, and then it ended with like, what would you tell your loved one if like, you could talk to them again? It's like, I don't know, man. Go watch The Boys in the Band.
It's also one of those questions. Right, watch Boys in the Band. Streaming now on Netflix. No, it's also one of those questions like, bro, do you really think I'm going to give that up in an interview? Yeah. Like, I love you. I'm so honored to be in this magazine, but I don't think the person I'm thinking of right now is reading this article. Hopefully they have other things to do in heaven, whatever they're doing.
Well, we've got a series of questions here. It's called Answer the Internet. They're from our callers and from the deepest, darkest corners of the internet. So we're going to hit you with some hypotheticals. No ducking, no nothing. Hit us with the real deal, all right?
Don't worry, we won't ask about any past loved ones.
If you were a general,
right, thank you.
If you were a general in the Civil War and you could get either a T-Rex or a modern war tank to fight on your side, what are you taking?
T-Rex.
Yeah. I mean, like the war tank is probably like a better weapon at war, but if you just had a T-Rex, like send in the T-Rex.
Yo, I mean,
imagine
don't send it in, man. I want to be on that thing's back. Just like ride and mount up.
Daenerys coming through. Like imagine what the rebel soldiers would do if you just came barreling down Atlanta on a T-Rex.
See you later.
All right, fine. Everyone's free. Get this thing out of here.
I want to see that. I want to see that on screen. I feel like that could happen on that new HBO show.
All right, Matt, how about this? If we write the movie, will you promise to star in it right now?
Hell yes. Sight unseen.
There we go.
As long as I get to ride on a T-Rex and just like plow through Southern soldiers. Sorry.
If you could only have 4 teeth in your whole mouth, where are you putting your 4 teeth?
Bro, front and center, man.
Yeah, you're gonna go top, all 4 top.
I just think for my profession, that'd probably be my
you
best
can't mess the moneymaker up, you know.
I mean, I don't know.
Think,
like at least have enough
molars for chewing, though. Like you can't eat food, really.
Well,
you probably don't eat food as
just go on a liquid. I'd go on a liquid diet. I also need to like enunciate, you know, like I need to be able to speak, and you need those front teeth to like. That's where your tongue makes those sounds, you know.
So when you said for your profession, you meant for speaking, and I just assumed for looks. What a shallow asshole I am.
I mean, listen, we can wrap it all up into one big shiny package.
All right. Let's see. Here's a classic one for us. Do you think there are more murderers or porn stars in the world? And what's your definition of porn star?
That's an important one because it is like,
I like to think of them as exotic entertainers. I would say probably adult entertainers.
You think?
Yeah, especially with what's the one now you can like pay to like see specific people? OnlyFans. I mean, isn't everybody on OnlyFans?
You want to make some money, pal? You should see the numbers that are flying around, Matt. These guys are making bank.
Tyga makes $5 million a month.
A month.
On OnlyFans?
On OnlyFans. Just on OnlyFans. He'd only made $1 million in his rap career.
Do you know how much money you could make, pal? Let me be like, I'll run it for you. You just got to send me some pictures and stuff, and I'll post them. I'll do all the grunt work, okay? I'll take 10%.
I'm just scrolling through my mind of how I'm going to explain this to our children.
But
maybe it's be like, here's a Lambo for your 16th birthday.
Exactly. Yeah, you may have seen Dad in some weird pictures, but here's a Lamborghini. Okay.
Hold on a second. Wait. I don't want to gloss over this. Does Tyga like does he just take shirtless pictures?
No, he does it all.
Matt, I've seen Tyga's penis.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I followed him on OnlyFans. I wanted to see what he was posting.
Sure.
Yeah, he goes full erect penis on there.
Dick is out, and usually it's he has a bevy of women in the background who are more performing things while he's just kind of like, here's my dick. So he has not fully engaged yet, but I'm sure that's coming.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Once you get a taste
Matt,
of
that 5 mil up to 10 mil, you gotta step up the game, baby.
We've really turned your career around in this half hour. You are about to star in a movie where you ride a T-Rex in the Civil War, and you got an OnlyFans.
You know what? Let's put it together.
You have taken the road less traveled, friend.
Guys, my agent is gonna love you.
Let's do one more question before we let you go. This one is good because I bet you are an answer for a lot of people for this question. If you could live anyone's life in their body, who would it be?
Oh man,
because your answer should just be like, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm staying right here.
Man, I gotta say, if I could live anyone's life in their body, who would it be? I don't know, man. I mean, wouldn't it be amazing to be like one of those like just specimens in the NBA who can just like 6'7" and still an amazing athlete and can dunk and just do everything and run fast. And
when the first time you if you're lucky enough to like sit courtside or get on the floor, like see them in act, it's weird to see someone that big move that way and like jump that way. It's crazy.
I also got to say, my boy Ayuk, after that double hurdle on the goal line a couple weeks ago, I was like, okay, I'd like to know what it's like to be able to hurdle two defenders at full speed in the NFL.
Every time someone says Ayuk's name, I think they're doing a sound from Street Fighter.
Ayuk!
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 We should make that shirt,
Ayuk!
actually. See, my answer for this would be probably anybody from Magic Mike. Like, it would be...
It's this guy right fucking here. I'm looking at him.
Don't choose me, man. I mean...
It'd be Joe. It would be Matthew McConaughey.
Tell me why I should not want to have your body.
Manganello's like 6'6".
Don't tell me. I know them. Tell me why I shouldn't
is
pick
like
you.
7 feet. Channing is like 6'2", but can move like
Channing,
Ayuk.
is he as cool as he seems? Because I've read like GQ pieces on him and stuff like that. I like the GQ cover story. The expose is always one of my favorite articles to read. And this is probably from years ago when he picked up the woman who was doing the article. He canceled the car on her, so he just showed up like holding her name, and then they just went into the desert in LA and just got shit faced in like an old sheriff's town. And she's like, he's the coolest guy ever. Like he woke me up like kicking me in the morning. He was already drinking tequila again, and I was like, that's a guy I want to hang out with.
Yeah, he's a cool cat.
Yeah, I think you would. I think he's about as good as it gets in the biz. You know, he's very authentic. He hasn't lost touch with himself. He's always searching. He's a really open guy. He's funny. He's fun to hang out with, and he's also one thing that's tricky when you're a movie star. He's a great leader on a set. You know, he makes it feel like an ensemble experience, even if he's the one bringing in the box office.
Yeah, he's one of the more interesting, like, I feel like case studies in Hollywood. I feel like when he first broke on the scene, people were like, oh, he's just good looking. Like, he can't act, he can't do anything. When it turns out he's this like crazy, talented, creative person who, if you give me a shot, I will show you why I'm supposed to be here.
He's a phenomenal actor. And if you haven't seen Guide to Recognizing Your Saints, which I think was like his first film role, and he was nominated for like an Independent Spirit Award, he like came on a scene so strong in that movie. And then, you know, you have to do this, what the studio wants you to do, which are oftentimes romantic leads, which may or may not have all the nuance that other media roles have when you're younger, you know, but he's a phenomenal actor, an incredible athlete, and a world-class human being.
You're not too shabby yourself, man. I appreciate the interview. This was great. Thanks so much. And
thanks, guys.
Boys in the Band is on Netflix. It sounds awesome. And all your other
you guys play one of the meanest games I've ever seen in that movie. That
we do.
They have to call is it the last person you loved or the first person you loved?
The first person you loved.
The first person you ever loved. And if they
you get a certain amount of points if you get that. If they answer,
1
if you
point.
Talk to them, if you tell them you love them.
Yeah, 3 points for telling them you love them. 2 points if they
0 points for me. I'm getting 0 points in that game. No, thank you.
I actually could do that because like the girl was in like 4th grade. I could call her up. I don't know.
You could do it.
I don't have her
Tell
number.
Her you love her?
Yeah. I'd be like, I actually saw her walking a child recently, so I feel like she probably wouldn't love that.
I appreciate that.
But I'd probably mix up the household. The household. Can't get it out.
I'll just tell you though about this movie. The thing that I think makes it something that anyone can enjoy is not only the fact that it is funny, but it's also about the cost of oppression and what oppression and marginalization does to this particular group of men in this movie. But you don't have to look too far in 2020 to see that all around us still. So there is something about it that's still resonant today.
Great stuff, man. Thanks so much. Can't wait to see it, and come back anytime.
Thank you so
Give
much,
my love
Matt.
to New York, you guys. Always great to see you.
Have a good
you
one.
too.
Thanks, man.
Thanks so much.
Bye.
Listen, if you made it this far into the video,
Which is far. Like, no one ever does that on the internet.
like it's the end. You made it to the end of the video.
full fucking video
You
you
watched
did.
the whole thing. So if you liked it and you watched the whole thing, why don't you subscribe?
It means you like us.
Click the subscribe button, because if you don't, I'm going to fucking murder John.
And I'm going to like it.
Kill him with my bare fucking hands.
Yeah.
And if you weren't sold on this video, there's plenty more. Watch what's next up and then subscribe. But just subscribe so I don't have to fucking kill him.
Well, I don't know. Do what you want, but subscribe. Probably.